Once upon a time, there was a 22-year-old girl, right? And she lived the life of privilege. She lived the life of her dreams. She traveled the world. She had an insanely supportive family. And at the end of it all, she basically got everything that she wanted. And yet, there was something that kept bothering her. It's funny because if you look at this as a children's story, you would say that the glass slippers had all fit. And if she ever consumed a poison apple, she had a room full of people who would run to try and save her. That's good, right? But yet, she was always very anxious. She was always very worried about what her youth held for her, where life would take her, whether she would be okay, whether she would be successful, whether she would make a name for herself. And so she didn't understand why all of this was happening. She went and she asked all the adults that she knew. And what they told her surprised her. They said, listen, why are you overthinking this? You're just behaving like a spoiled brat. Nothing's wrong. You've gotten everything that God could possibly give you in this life. That obviously wasn't helping. So she went and she asked people who were her age. And what they told her surprised her. 80% of the people that she spoke to said that they were all just like her, lonely, depressed, anxious, worried, for no rhyme or reason. Do you guys sort of know where this is going? So, I am that 22-year-old girl. I'm 25 now. And that was my fairy tale, except clearly I'm not wearing any ball gowns. I'm in a black jumpsuit, right? So, I'm not here to talk about this whole crisis. It's a quarter-life crisis, by the way. That's what it's called. But I want to skip to the good part, to 3 years later, when I've learned how to manage all of this and keep it under control. And so I'm here to give you suggestions on how you can do the same in a couple of very, very simple steps. Here's the first one. If you're lonely, how many of you are lonely? Really? Nobody? Wow! Stop asking people, how's life? It's one of the most destructive things you can do to yourself, and you don't even know it yet. So, everybody here Netflix and chills, right? Okay, even if you don't have Netflix accounts, you'll binge watch shows. Let's be honest here, right? So, after like 5 days of binge watching, when you've had no human contact, and suddenly you're like craving for this human contact, what do? Do you step out of your room and talk to your parents? No, you don't. You go on your phone or on your laptop or whatever screen you have available in front of you, and then you will find on your messenger these green dots. And then so you will go and text people, how's life? And then copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. That's what people do. Here's the problem with this. 2 things can happen. Number 1, if somebody replies, this is how the conversation goes. Hey, I'm good, how are you? Same. That's it, conversation fizzles, right? What more are you going to say? Or if they don't reply, now you feel ignored, which is worse because now you're lonelier than you were before. And so, this is just a very destructive habit because this was a conversation that you initiated by yourself, for your own self, with no regards for what the other person had to say to you. And if you were being honest, you would have just said, hi, this is how my life is going because I just want to talk to somebody right now. But you don't do that. So instead of saying, how's life when you're lonely, call somebody up and just say, hi, can you come and see me for a meal? Can you come see me for lunch or for dinner? And those next 2 hours that you spend dedicating to that relationship with that one human being will teach you a lot more than 5 pop-up windows on your screens. Let's go to the next part. If you're depressed, do something nice. Now, before you all jump at me and tell me that I don't understand the severity of depression, I'm not talking about chronic depression. If you are chronically depressed, you need to go get medical help right away. But if that's not you, and you have bouts of depression like I had, then one thing you can do is do something nice. So why was I depressed? I felt I was very mechanical, very robotic. My institutions had trained me to be like that. The saddest part was I felt replaceable. Not only professionally, but also personally. And that eats you away in your 20s, right? So what I realized is that I don't need to have something special to offer to the world. I can do without it. All I needed to do was I needed to understand that even if I may or may not be special, I'm most definitely unique because I'm the only one with that DNA, right? So remember this. Remember that you're a masterpiece simply because you are unique. And so what you need to do is you just need to get out when you're sad and identify people around you who are in the same boat as you. And then go do something for them. Try and help them. This world needs a lot of nice people right now more than ever. And you know why I realized that? There was this one story I encountered. It was this letter that this man wrote. And it said, if somebody smiles at me on the way to the bridge, I won't jump. Sadly, he never made it back. So remember that other people around you have the same issues as you and try and help them. Maybe you will find a way to help your own self in the meanwhile. Next, if you're feeling let down, go and learn one new skill every month. So how many of you guys remember the Boston Tea Party? Nobody? Come on! Yeah, like so much tea was dumped into the sea, it didn't hurt you then? Okay, how many of you know the chemical composition of iron oxide? So proud of y'all. I don't know it. I still don't know it. But here's the thing. I was always very disappointed in my schooling. And that was because I felt like they should have been teaching me real skills, like how to figure out what life insurance is best for you, or how to figure out what financial portfolio plan you need to make for your own self growing up, because you can't rely on pensions anymore. And I thought that I was taught nothing of that. And that just kept bothering me because I was like, I've wasted my childhood learning skills that I don't really require. And then I realized what the problem is. I was putting the responsibility of my own education on somebody else when I should have been responsible from the get-go, right? So what I did was I made a list of skills that I already have, skills that I know are helping me go through my everyday life. And then I made a list of skills that I knew I wanted to acquire. I divided this into two parts, skills I needed professionally and skills I needed personally. And once I had figured out what these skills are, it can be something as tiny as do a crash course on social media marketing. Or it could be something really major as go do an MBA, whatever it is. Just write it down. And then make a third list. A list which is called the happiness list. This list is of skills that just make you happy. Like I, for one, love watching Korean dramas. And that's really hard because I have to rely on subtitles. So I decided to start learning Korean. Why? Just because. Because I like watching those dramas. And I think that this happiness list, that's the one that matters the most. Because once you have this list, it gives you life skills that will be more focused on all the smaller bits of life that you need to be enjoying while you're stressing with all the chaotic things happening around you. Next, feel the pressure of success? Redefine failure. So how many of us are like very focused on wanting to do the best in life, wanting to be the best in life, and you wake up and not every day you're motivated to do it. No, sometimes you're just like, I have to figure this out one way or another because I have people relying on me. I have people depending on me to be the best that I possibly can. But here's the problem, right? Today, the definition of success is not the same as what it used to be. Once upon a time, it meant that you're financially rich. Today, that's not the case. Today, you need to be happy, you need to be fulfilled, you need to probably go out and make an impact in the world to feel like you're successful. So what I did was that I decided I needed to have a new definition of success for myself, so I would stop pressurizing myself. And I thought, just the way that darkness is not an entity on its own, it's the absence of light. What if I made failure, and like failure is the same thing, right? Failure is the absence of success. I thought, what if I switch this? What if I make failure the norm and success the byproduct? Think about it for a second. What if you look forward to failing in life at whatever it is that you do? What if you want to keep failing at things and one day you stop failing and what happens? You're successful. But that's not the thing you care about. You want to keep failing, so you keep living and you keep growing. Next. Are you frustrated because of the society that you live in? A lot of us feel very left out. We are misfits. We are very opinionated as a generation. And the society doesn't always accept us for who we are and how we are. But here's the good thing. You are the one generation who has the resources to get up and leave and go to a place on the planet that actually accepts you as you are, or somewhere better than where you are right now. A lot of people say that this can be counted as running away. But you as an individual don't have the onus of changing the society on your head. If you think that you don't want to take that and you just want to go live peacefully wherever you feel like living, do it. What happens is that right now when I'm standing here, I see the room differently. But when I take a step back, I see the room differently. And perspective is like that. The second you walk away from something, the second you get out of your zone from where you're viewing a certain object, you walk out of it, you view it differently. And that's what you need in life. When you're confused, you just need another perspective so that you can figure out where you fit in. Also, you guys, you are not a tree, are you? So just move. Next. Want to find a purpose in life? Please try and live first. Can we take a moment to just think about this before I start speaking about it? So, this was always a big dilemma for me. Why am I on this planet? What is my purpose? Why is my friend on this planet? Why are my parents on this planet? Do I have one purpose in life that I need to pursue till I die? Can I have many purposes? Does everybody have a different purpose? And do 8 billion people have 8 billion different purposes? Can people have more than one purpose at one time? And I kept thinking, and that became overthinking. And what I forgot is when you talk about the purpose of life, the focus needs to be on the word life and not on the word purpose. Because if you're overthinking about your purpose, you forget to live in the meanwhile. So you need to take your focus back to where it needs to be. Life isn't just about accomplishments. Life isn't just about everything productive. Sometimes life is just about that hot cup of tea, after an afternoon full of studying or meetings. It's that one little thing that puts a smile on your face. All of this random fluff in the universe that exists so pointlessly, that's eternal, maybe that's more important. Maybe you need to be more grateful for it rather than just trying to be a machine and trying to constantly achieve and run towards something. Also, one of the issues that we face is that we look at our lives in a very linear aspect, right? It's education till I'm 22, masters till I'm 25, marriage at 27, kids till I'm 30, and then family life till I retire at 65. The problem is when you make such a linear plan, you're being a little ignorant. You're not giving things like destiny, fate, serendipity, any room to come and amaze you in life. And you know that that's going to happen. Not everything is going to go as per the plan that you make. So maybe it's time that we just took things how they came, that we just rolled with it. And finally, do you crave peace? If you do, maybe it's time to forget your age. One of the issues with this whole term quarter life crisis is that it focuses too much on quarter as well. Because if you take quarter away, a life crisis is something every human on this planet has faced. Isn't it? Do you guys agree? So think about it. The generations before us, I'm pretty sure they had multiple crises happening with freedom struggles, with industrial revolutions, and every possible revolution. In fact, if we go back to the birth of mankind, I'm pretty sure even the Neanderthal man was a little stressed out with evolution happening and all of that, right? So everybody you look around you, irrespective of the generation that they were brought up in, has always had to go through a crisis and come out on the other side. And you need to remember that even though you're facing a quarter-life crisis right now, you are always going to be living in this crisis-like situation for the rest of your life, because you all are going to be misfits in the society. More changes will come, and this time you will be the one who won't understand what is happening. So if you truly, truly want peace, then simply forget about how old you are and stop putting deadlines on yourself by your age. And accept that no matter what gets thrown at you in life, you'll always be strong enough to stand back up and fight it. That's all you need to do. Just every time you fall down, just get back up. If you do that, you're a winner then and there. So, in conclusion, I would just like to say that if your story is also a children's book, then don't let the ending read something like, and they lived happily ever after. I think it would just be much nicer if your last page had the words, and they always lived happily throughout all of their right nows. Thank you.